Hi. It's been a bit, hasn't it? So, a lot of things have happened, and I'd love to give you all updates on everything, but I can't do that. I'll return soon, I promise. I wanted to make this video as, well, a little bit more for me than for you. A lot of you might not know this, but I started this channel with a friend of mine. If you actually look up my name on YouTube, you'll find listed below my alt account and probably a few of my videos, arson fan account. It was the YouTube channel of a friend of mine named Aiden. Now, that might confuse you because, as some of you know, my name's Aiden, but together we were best friends. I remember every chance I could, I'd go to his house and we'd play games. My favorite game of all time comes from him, Dishonored. I remember my uncle showed it to me, and I beat it after a few weeks, but then he got it on his Xbox, and I showed him how to beat it, and we speedran that game that night. We also used to play a lot of Minecraft on his Xbox, Halo 3, Call of Duty. There's an unlisted video on my account right now of us playing Call of Duty, and it has aged so poorly. God, my editing is so bad. My voiceover isn't great. We're both, pre-puberty, so it's not a great vibe. But we're having fun. You can tell that we're having fun the entire time. I might even put it in the background of this video, just blurred. And oh my god, you need that blur because my editing was so bad. Things with Aiden, well, they weren't always great, but, well, they weren't always bad either. I remember this one story of, God, I can't tell you how old we were, but we were young. We were staying in my adopted family's lake house, and it was such a fish out of water scenario. I'd been a few times, hastily invited as a secondary inclusion, but I brought him, and I remember this one time, late at night, barely 2 in the morning, we snuck out of this little house that we were staying in, and we snuck into the main house, and we stole 2 Pepsis from the fridge. And we walked up and we sat on the roof and we drank them looking at the stars. God, it sounds so cliche. It really does. But it's true. Aiden was everything I wasn't. I mean, in a very descriptive way, too, but also in a personality way. He was tall, thin, very good looking. I always saw myself as, very small and very ugly. Then puberty hit and then I got taller than him, but that's besides the point. He was smart. He could play the piano. I always remembered thinking that, someday when we grow up, that I would be this, druggy mooching off of his success. That he would be this... I don't know what he'd be, but I knew it would be magnificent. Not a lot of people know this, but he drew the original Ari icon. It was a long time ago, and, well, I'm not sure of the entire legitimacy of it, but he drew it. And I loved it. I paid him $20 for it right on the spot, and it was mine. I've never given it up, and I don't think I ever will. Things with Aiden, as I might have said. Sorry, I've re-recorded this a few times. Things with Aiden, well, they weren't always great. We argued. We had differences. I think when he started getting into drugs, it was a real separator for us. At the time, I didn't even smoke weed. It was the most, like, I was such a prude, and he was trying new things. He was living a life. And then something changed. Or it was always there, and I just didn't see it. Aiden had gotten really into a lot of drugs. He wasn't in a good place, and he made decisions that, well, weren't great for him. The last time I saw him in person, he looked so thin. His hair was greasy and unkempt. He stood behind his mom like he was afraid. And I remember sitting him down and talking with him and crying my eyes out in front of him, saying how sorry I was, how I wish I could have helped him, how I had tried to reach out so many times, and how I didn't think he cared about me. He hugged me, and that was that. His mom had heard some of our conversation, and later I would hear her tell a friend that there was nothing I could have done. That he didn't want help. And that hurt. It hurt so much. There was nothing I would have done for him. It's nothing I wouldn't have done for him. We ended that on pretty good terms. But what came next, I used to know this guy named Rob. And Rob, he was this man in his 40s, kind of soft-spoken, very gentle, who loved movies. He had this big VHS player and this huge TV, and we'd often watch movies together. He had this daughter named Tessa, who, when I was 13, she was like 7. So, no, she couldn't have been like 7. She was younger, but she looked up to me a lot. I mean, I was one of the only, kind of cool figures in her life, and I tried to be there for her as much as I could. And, moving around a lot, changing homes, briefly being homeless, and you lose contact. Shit happens. I was standing in my kitchen when I got a text on Instagram. It was years later. I was in my 20s, and I got this text from Aiden, begging for money. He's saying how scared he is, how he fucked up, and he needs to get out. I'd found out that the night prior, Aiden and his girlfriend at the time, who did not like Tessa, they had lured her out, and they beat her up in the streets. I couldn't forgive him. Fuck, I screamed, I yelled, I cried. I said, how could you? You were friends with Rob. He was your neighbor. How could you beat up our dead friend's daughter? And he just said, it's business. It's business. Fucking... I was so mad. It was a betrayal of everything I had, everything I loved. This is someone I'd cried over. I'd spent so much time worrying and trying to be there for him because that's how I love. And he didn't want it. I told him to never talk to me again, and that if I ever saw him, I would kick the shit out of him. That I would beat him till he couldn't walk. I don't like being violent. I have a very bad past with anger issues, and I don't like that self. I don't like that part of me. I've spent so much time working on it and getting to a place where I'm happy, and then I don't have to be a violent person. Aiden was later arrested. He had, well, I'm not going to get into what happened, but he had done something that I couldn't forgive, and I thought my friend was gone. I visited his mom, told her how sorry I was, and that I hoped the best for her son. When he got out of jail a few years later, I thought about visiting him. I was told I should visit him, but I couldn't do it. I was so angry. I was so determined on keeping this hate for him. And an hour ago, I found out that he had died. God. My grandmother had called me. My adopted grandmother had called me, and she said, I have 2 horrible things to tell you. That your friend is dead, and that my cancer has returned. My fucking God. What a cruel joke. I spent so long angry at him, and now I would give up so much just to say I'm sorry to him. I would do whatever I could just for an hour of his time again. Because he was my friend. And if I had been there for him, maybe he'd still be here today. I started this channel with him so long ago. It's a long since deleted video, so I don't even have the archive of it, but the first thing I ever posted to this channel was a fake prank that we did of him jumping out from behind a couch to scare somebody. I remember talking with him in his living room about making little cardboard Star Wars, fucking, what are they called? God damn it. TIE fighters, and flying them around with his kid in it, and how popular that would be. Because I'm pretty sure I saw it on YouTube already. I remember sleeping in his living room watching Gravity Falls. It was the night, it's the episode where Dipper goes to Pacifica's house, and like it's so haunting and scary, and like I remember specifically the moment when blood began to seep from one of the deer's eyes, like it's a stuffed deer, and you need to watch the episode. And I remember looking at him and I'm like, oh my God, we're in a creepy pasta. I'm gonna miss my friend. I'm gonna miss my friend, and I'm gonna spend every day knowing that I could have done something. I miss you, Aiden. Rest in peace, my friend. If you're still here, thank you for listening. Can't imagine it was an easy listen, but thank you. I'll return soon. I promise. Till then, hug the people close to you. You never know when they're gonna go. Bye-bye.